I'm going to call a special meeting of the Board of Aldermen to order on Monday, May 23rd, 2022 at 7 p.m. in the Aldermanic Chamber, as well as via Zoom teleconference. The prayer will be offered by City Clerk Allison Waite, and Alderman Clemens will lead us in the pledge to the flag.
Almighty God, we have the high honor and the serious duty to manage the affairs of our beloved city. Fill us, O God, with a spirit of unity and understanding, which enables us to face our multiple problems with a serene mind, with justice and charity for all, so that any and all decisions made by us will always be for the betterment and greater happiness of all our fellow citizens. So help us God. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let's start the meeting by taking a roll call attendance. When each member states their presence, please indicate if participating via Zoom, state why you're not meeting in person and whether there is anyone in the room with you, which is required under the right to know law. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Alderman O'Brien. Alderman O'Brien.
Not here.
He's not here tonight.
Alderman Sullivan.
Here.
Alderman Clee.
Here.
Alderman Moran. Alderman Lopez. Alderman Jettie.
Here.
Alderman Clemens.
Here.
Alderwoman Kelly.
Here.
Alderman Camo.
Present.
Alderman Dowd.
Present.
Alderman Govia. Alderman Cathy.
Present.
Alderman Tebow. Alderwoman Timmons. And Alderman Wilshire.
I am here.
You have 9 in attendance.
Thank you. We heard from Alderman Moran and Alderman Tebow that they were unable to be here this evening, and I believe Alderman Timmons is still away, so. Yes.
Alderman Govia sent a message, he can't make it.
Okay, Alderman Govia won't make it tonight. Okay. So, as is customary, I will turn this meeting over to the Chair of the Budget Review Committee, Alderman Dowd.
Yes, this evening, we're going to have a public hearing on R-22-027, authorizing the mayor and the city treasurer to issue bonds not to exceed the amount of $3,700,000 for the replacement and upgrade of radio communications equipment. Would you like to come up and give an overview?
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for being here this evening and taking the time out of your busy schedules to be here for this.
Name and title.
My name is Bill Mansfield. I am the radio systems manager for the city of Nashua. Most of you know what our radio system is and how it operates, but I know there are a few of you who I have not met that may not be familiar with this. The Citywide Communications Division has department, whatever you may want to call it. There are 2 of us in that department. We're responsible for maintaining 1,500 mobile and portable radios. Portable radios are what you see up on the counters there. Mobile radios that are in the police cruisers, fire trucks, DPW trucks. They're permanently mounted in there. We maintain 3 tower sites throughout the city. These tower sites consist of actual radio communications towers, antennas, cabling, HVAC systems, generators, there's buildings, battery backups for each of these sites. There are also 2 infrastructure sites, one being located at the police department and one being located at the fire department. There is radio equipment, infrastructure equipment at both those locations, as well as antennas and HVAC systems that we're responsible for. There are also 2 dispatch sites here in the city, one being at the police department and one being at the fire department. Each dispatch center has 3 dispatch consoles there that we're responsible for maintaining because of their connection to the radio system itself. We serve every department in the city: police, fire, DPW, schools, health, transit, community development. Each of these entities have radios. There are some smaller entities that have a few radios here and there. But for the most part, our largest users are police, fire, and DPW, especially depending on the time of the year. Being in the wintertime, DPW uses it a lot more because of snow plowing. Fire and police are on the go all the time as well, utilizing the system. The system's a 10-channel, 800 megahertz trunked radio system. It's a 3-site simulcast system that allows 95% or better coverage in the city. The areas that may have dead spots, we have installed what we call bidirectional amplifiers in them to emit RF radio frequencies, radio transmissions out of the buildings, and they go through an antenna system that is inside, such as Southern New Hampshire Medical Center. There's an antenna on the roof. There's an amplifier in there that amplifies the communications out of there so that we could have better communication. There are approximately 8 of those installed in the city that we are also responsible for. Any questions on what we do and what we're responsible for or anything like that before I move any further?
Before that, let the record show that Alderman Lopez showed at the meeting at 7:04. Are there any questions for Mr. Mansfield?
If I may, sir? Oh, yes, sir.
Yes, Alderman Sullivan.
Thank you. The amount that you are requesting, is that just for radios, or is it also for the infrastructure that you mentioned involving the communication?
So I'm going to proceed further and explain the rest of the principal reason why I'm here, which is to request $3.7 million for portable radios for police and fire. And that's for police and fire only, but I'll explain that as we go on.
Thank you.
Currently, in 2012, in 2013, and 2014, the city made some large investments on radio infrastructure here within the city to improve the radio system and to bring it up to the current standards of today. There have been, every 2 years, we receive an upgrade to the infrastructure of the system. The infrastructure meaning the sites, all the different sites I just mentioned, and bringing all the technology up to today's standards. One thing that's not included in these upgrades is the equipment that is used by personnel on the street itself. So in 2012, 2013, 2014, we made these large purchases. Each firefighter in the city is issued a portable radio. Each police officer in the city is issued a portable radio, as well as non-public safety personnel throughout the city. They're not issued them personally, but there are bank caches of radios that are at these different facilities throughout the city. In 2019, Motorola, and that's the vendor that we utilize here in the city, Motorola basically gave us a end of service ability, end of service life, a notification for the Fire FM radios. Fire FM means factory mutual. And I have to refer to notes because I get a little confused about what this is, and hopefully you don't get as confused. So the firefighters, when they go into a building, they may come in contact with gases that are in the building that may ignite if there's a spark that occurs. FM radios at that time, factory mutual radios, were made to prevent that spark from happening, and the radios are certified that they would not do that. They were considered to be intrinsically safe. There was a change in the standard from factory mutual. Fire radios are no longer certified as being factory mutual certified. They're now UL listed, Underwriters Laboratories. That's a new standard. As of 2019, Motorola no longer would support the FM radios if we sent them out to repair. So we were sending radios out to repair. We knew this was occurring. We sent radios out to be repaired. They would send us a notice back saying that when it was returned to us, it was no longer going to be FM safe, which was cause for concern for the firefighters for various reasons, mainly that the radio is no longer certified. That's the biggest issue. So now with the UL listed certification, we don't have a choice but to move and purchase UL listed radios for the fire service. That's one issue. Another issue was in December of 2020, we were notified that at the end of 2021, the police radios were no longer going to be serviceable. The radios have been in service for approximately 8 to 9 years, depending on the vintage that they were purchased. They have done their job. They're not at end of life in my view. We can utilize them further within the city. If we proceed and go forward and purchase new radios for fire and police, the radios that we get returned to us can be utilized by non-public safety users that are out there. There's one radio, especially in front of Alderman Sullivan, the one on your left, the one with the broken antenna. That was a radio that was no longer serviceable as of 2015. All of the non-public safety users out there today are utilizing those. They may have broken antennas, they may have broken screens. I believe that one you can't even get the screen to turn on other than it turns green. So you can't read anything that's on that particular screen. And then we ran into having issues finding batteries for those, but we found some aftermarket batteries recently that we were able to put Band-Aids on and hold those together. So the main purchase tonight, what I'm looking for $3.7 million is to purchase approximately 400 fire and police radios. The radios that we're looking at purchasing are to the left, to our left of Alderman Dowd. There's a black one and a green one there with the speaker microphones attached to the top. Those are the latest and newest technology that's out there. They're approximately 1.5 years old. Those radios are in test phase right now with police and fire. They seem to be working out very well. The benefits of having these particular devices is they have a very large screen on them, especially on the fire side. There's a search feature where they can type in a town and look up whatever that town is when they're doing mutual aid. We do quite a bit of mutual aid outside the city, across the border in Massachusetts. And those screens have been very, very beneficial to the firefighters so far. Right now, the firefighters, there's another green radio up there, which is a thinner green radio to the right of the other two. That is the current firefighter radio that is out there. It's a single band radio, which means it's 800 megahertz. Nashua and Manchester are the only departments that have 800 megahertz radio systems. So our radios are not compatible with anybody else around us unless we have multi-band radios. So the proposal would be to have multi-band radios for both police and fire. They would have VHF. All the surrounding communities around us have VHF radio frequencies. When you cross the border into Massachusetts, they have UHF radio frequencies, which is another frequency band that's not compatible with either of them, or any of them, I should say. Like I said, the proposal is to buy 400 of those radios. Also, along with that, there's a safety feature a safety software that we have not purchased that we would like to purchase to go along with the radios, and that's called accountability software. And that software is mainly for the fire department. Whenever the firefighters are sent to a fire scene, they go into a building. After a certain amount of time, they need to do a roll call of every firefighter that's out there. Right now, the way they do the roll call is they key up the radio, call every firefighter, one at a time. This accountability software that can be installed on the infrastructure, as well as the firefighter radios, will allow for a tone to be sent across they call it a par tone. Basically, it's a roll call where the firefighter would learn what that tone is, and all he would have to do is, once he hears that tone, is key up, and it would come up on the screen saying that he's checked in. So that screen would be monitored by the fire commander on the scene of the fire, as well as the dispatchers and the dispatch center itself over on Lake Street. So that's one of the big safety features that the fire department is looking for in these particular radios. So overall, this is would be a large upgrade to the latest and greatest technology. It would allow additional safety features in the radios. On the police side, we're looking at a safety feature for GPS, automatic vehicle locator, GPS. Basically, it's a location so that if a police officer pushes his panic button, it should immediately pop up on a map, and they would know where that police officer is. A lot of times, police officer pulls up to a scene. He may get out of the car. He may not have time to call out before he gets out of the car, so they don't know exactly where he is. And if we have that GPS feature, he can push the panic button, and again, on a map, it would show up in the dispatch center, telling the dispatchers where the police officer is, so that they can send units. I have personally been in instances in my previous job, my previous life as a police officer, where officers have been out there. Again, they weren't able to call out of service somewhere. No location, all of a sudden the panic button goes off. Dispatcher's calling, no response. Dispatcher's calling, no response. They call, all of a sudden you hear a civilian, somebody off the street, hello? Hello? Your police officer's in a fight right now, hello? We don't even know who the police officer is, so you're trying to get the information out of the civilian who doesn't even know how to talk on a radio to tell you where he is. It's a scary situation, and it's a dangerous situation. Doesn't happen that often, but I think once you hear that, you don't ever want to hear it again. Like I said, it's a scary, very scary situation. So the radios that we have up here, like I said, with those enhancements, the safety enhancements that are in them, the ability to search for different channels. Right now, those radios are programmed with over 200 channels from throughout the area. It has the whole state of New Hampshire in there for every radio frequency that is out there, plus there's quite a few from Massachusetts. In these radios, we currently have, and we will still have, what we call an interoperability bank. So when I say we do mutual aid, we send officers down to Boston for the Boston Marathon. When they go down to Boston for that mutual aid, they end up utilizing these same radios. They turn to the channel that is already pre-programmed in those radios, and they can talk to everybody on the scene down there. Hampton Beach incident over the weekend, we have officers that responded over there. They were able to go on those radios, turn to the channel, and talk to everybody that was there. So these are a lifeline for the police officer, probably the most important device or most important thing that they carry on them, because that's where their backup is. So the radios are cost approximately $9,000 to $10,000 a piece, depending on what they're going to have programmed in them. They'll still have the encryption in them for police. They'll have the extra software in them that would be set up in the 2 dispatch centers. I'll take a break and breather and see if there's any questions at this point in time.
Okay, did that answer your question originally?
I think so. So basically, the 3.7 million is only to replace 400 radios.
Correct.
At an average cost of $9,250 per radio.
Correct.
Any further questions? Yes, Alderman Como.
Yes, thank you. You mentioned the current radios, I think you used the phrase that they had more than done their job, so they've outlived their expected lifespan. What is the expected lifespan of the new radios that you're looking to purchase?
7 to 8 years.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Yes, Alderman Lopez?
Do we use encryption on our radios? And if we do, then do we switch over to mutual aid? Is there a benefit to using these versus what we use now?
So, in mutual aid circumstances, we don't use encryption. And that's because you can't, there's different encryptions and different key codes that go in each different system that's out there. Currently, we have an encryption that's called DVP-XL. We would be changing that encryption to AES, which is more the national standard. Manchester has AES encryption. We would able to, for mutual aid purposes, we would have their key in our radios and would be able to talk to them and vice versa. They could come down here and talk to us. And the radios, the way we have it set up today, on 800 megahertz, there's one channel, it's called TAC3. That channel is clear, so it's non-encrypted, and that's for mutual aid purposes. Manchester, they have their channel set up as Dispatch 3, which is clear and unencrypted. Eventually, Merrimack is going to be moving over to 800 megahertz as well. And we have already programmed their radios so that their channel 3 is also non-encrypted. And again, from 800 megahertz mutual aid. All the other channels that are in those radios are non-encrypted. So whenever we go to a scene or another community, they have to either shut off their encryption or they have to utilize a different channel that's a basic interoperability channel. There's a bank in each one of these radios, and it's in every radio in the state. It's called an H-bank. Every radio is programmed the same. So no matter where you go in the state, if you hit that H-bank, you have the right channel, you're going to be able to talk to whoever's on the scene at that location. Like I said, every single radio in the state is programmed with an H-bank on VHF. So,
Okay.
long answer to what.
Helpful though, I appreciate it.
Alderman Clemens, Alderman Clee, and Alderman Sullivan.
Yes, thank you. Are there any warranties or anything like that with these, or if we get them on day 2 and they break, we're on the hook? What's the?
So there's a 1-year warranty that comes with these. Motorola offers a additional warranty of up to 3 years. The cost of it is not cost effective.
Okay.
From my experience with dealing with the radios for the past 20 years, it is not cost effective for us. So it costs about $600, usually it's a flat fee to $600 to $700 to fix a radio. That's a lot of radios to fix when you're being charged $40 to $50 per radio over a 3-year period.
Okay. Thank you.
Alderman Clee?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a quick question. I know that we do this for everything, but have we looked at grants and so on to kind of help with this? I know we want to get the money down and so on, but would we continue to look for grants? I know the city's got a grant writer. I know the police have one and so on. And I don't even know if there are grants for something like this, but where it has to be such a big change, I didn't know if there was some kind of public safety type grant that would be out there.
So there are public safety grants out there. I actually spoke with the grant person from the state last week. I had a meeting with her. The state has moved away from funding radios for grants because they had done that. They did it for about 10 years and they spent millions and millions of dollars with everybody. We have 70 radios that are in our cache. I shouldn't say in the cache, they're on the street right now. We have 70 radios for police officers. They're dual band radios and they've been in service since 2012. And those particular radios were on a grant. But they're moving away from basically funding radios for grants.
Just a quick
Follow-up question, Alderman Clee?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So those 70 that you talked about, those will be put into service elsewhere within the city if they still have a
Yes.
decent life left on?
Yes.
So, thank you.
Alderman Sullivan?
I have a few questions here. The first is, are we buying these directly through Motorola or through a distributor of Motorola?
They're being bought direct through Motorola.
Okay. You mentioned software. Since I'm in the software business, does a seat of software come with the radio for the life of the radio, or is it an annual subscription?
I'm an anti-annual subscription person, so the new radios that are here are not going to have any type of subscription in them. They're capable of that, but I'm not a fan of that. So it's about $70,000 per year if we keep
Right.
that subscription up.
So if we could go back to the software that comes with the radio, that is not the software that you're speaking of. There is additional software you can get on top of it, but,
Correct.
and that software that comes with the radio, that is not the software that you're talking about.
So the software I'm talking, so there is no subscription software gonna be assigned or put in these radios.
Okay.
So everything all the software that's in there, and there's probably licenses for, I'm going to ballpark, probably 13 different pieces of software that are gonna be in each of those radios. That is a one-time fee.
Okay. And my last question is, these radios sound incredible. Do you just give it to the officer or the fireman, or is there training included on how to use it?
There is, every officer, every new officer, so the police department's hiring 7 new officers this week. Next Tuesday, they're going to be trained on it. Every single firefighter and every single police officer is trained on the radio.
Okay.
When it comes to the new radios, that training is going to be a longer period of time because it's a totally different type of radio. So
And that's included in the contract?
that's we train them ourselves.
Oh,
We do
Okay.
our own training. We do our own programming. We do our own training. So in-house.
okay. That's it.
That's it. Any other questions? Seeing none. Thank you, Mr. Mansfield.
Thank you very much, everyone, for your attention.
I will now open up the public hearing to testimony in favor of R 22-027. Anyone on Zoom? Seeing no one? I'll now take testimony in opposition. Seeing no one in the chamber, no one on Zoom? None? Once again, testimony in favor of R 22-027. Seeing no one? Testimony in opposition. Seeing no one? I'll now close the public hearing on R 22-027 at 7:28 PM. I'll now open the public hearing on resolution R 22-029 at 7:28 PM. R 22-029, authorizing the mayor and the city treasurer to borrow an amount not to exceed $6,900,000 through the issuance of bonds and/or loan through New Hampshire Department of Environmental Services State Revolving Loan Fund for the wastewater treatment plant dry well valve replacement project. And I believe someone's here from DPW to give an overview. Mr. Busher?
Yes, thank you. Thanks for having this meeting tonight. Dave Boucher, wastewater superintendent. I'll give you a brief overview of the project. This is the dry well pipe and valve replacement project that's for the wastewater facility. The wastewater facility has 36-inch steel pipes with associated valves in 2 lower levels of our main building that were installed in 1972. These pipes handle flows from 12 million gallons a day to 50 million gallons a day. Recently, we had a 20-year facility plan project. In that project, we did some pipe thickness testing, and the pipe had showed significant wear, and the valves no longer hold back. So when we have to fix a pump. The valves are having problems holding back the water, so we can remove pumps. So this project involves the setup of a temporary bypass, so we can replace the pipe in the 2 stories below ground. This money would also cover the preliminary engineering of the project, final drawings, bid documentation, and project oversight and construction. I'd be happy to take any questions.
Are there any questions? Alderman Clements?
Thank you. So forgive the simplicity of this, but the bypass that you're talking about, is that going to be something that's there, that's going to be constructed permanently, so that in the future, when we have to do this again, I don't know, 50 years from now, they can be utilized again, or is that truly temporary and will be gone?
Unfortunately, truly temporarily, it will be gone. It would have to, we'd have to pull it and put it above ground. Just because of the amount of room where the existing piping is, we looked at putting in a bypass, a permanent bypass. It wasn't feasible to do so. So this one would have to be external and temporary.
Okay, thank you.
Any
You're
other
welcome.
questions? All right, thank you. I'll now open up for testimony on R 22-029. Testimony in favor. Seeing no one. Testimony in opposition. Seeing no one. Once again, testimony in favor. Seeing no one. Testimony in opposition. None. I'll call the public hearing on Art Resolution R 22-029 closed at 7:32 PM.
Thank you.
Thank you. Alderman Kathy, you want to make a motion?
Is that motion that the public, or the meeting be adjourned?
Special meeting of the Board of Aldermen be adjourned. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
We're adjourned at 7:32 PM.